Um, Harry.
Never. Good night, everybody.
Harry, I want you to speak to the pressure that Golding is responding to at this time, because clearly he is under pressure. See, the Labour Party this evening is turning up the pressure under him. And I think Golding, do you think that he is measured in the response to the pressure, or do you think he's been forced, his hand has been forced and he's making mistakes? You want to help me with that?
Sure, neighbor. Well, the thing about it, is that the applied pressure that we've not necessarily seen in a very long time when it comes on to these type of issues for the opposition. And I think because the pressure is coming from all angles, pun intended with that one.
It's you give Indian Jacks now a plug here.
It is, because the truth about it, neighbor, is that what is happening while he's under so much pressure is that their guardrails have been broken, right? The institutions that normally protects them no longer can do so effectively. They still have some place in terms of how they are handling the issue, why it is not as big if the shoe was on the other foot, right? But they have lost their ground in that aspect, and as such, the pressure is now hitting him directly. So no longer is he shielded, right? We see the piece.
Where is this pressure coming from?
Well, it is definitely the political aspect of it, right? And the thing about it is that one of the guardrails is normally the mass media. And what has happened is that there's a self-inflicting issue there that was self-orchestrated by a mistake. The moment for this issue that Mr. Gordon went after a media house, came out swinging and failed miserably, that guardrail that they had went down, because now you're up against the media and you've waged a war. So you've beaten one and you've lost to the other, one of the most influential one currently, right? And with the applied pressure coming from the biggest media channel, which is now social media, and they don't have a guardrail over social media. They can't censor social media, right? Because even if they report a 1-page, 2-page neighbor, the conversation is right across the length and breadth of the medium.
Is it impactful, impacting? How, to what extent is it being discussed across the space?
Heavily, neighbor. Heavily. And
that's all.
And here's why. The bloggers and vloggers in the same medium cannot touch this issue for the PMP, right? If you look at it, they have all gone silent, or they're running away from the issue as it gains traction.
You mean the bloggers of the party, opposition party?
Of the party. Because if you realize, the PMP-YO has nothing to say, right? The women's group of the PMP has nothing to say, because they can't come out and defend anything. Because they also were taken aback to a great extent. They didn't know this would have blown up in this manner, right? And that is why I said their guardrails are broken. Now, the conversation is being had among the largest population in Jamaica, which are the undecided.
Yes.
Even if these people don't go to the polls in 4 to 5 years' time, what the People's National Party has done with this scandal being in opposition, because we're used to them with these scandals in government, but to see that they still have this attached to them even out of power, it solidifies that nothing has changed from the People's National Party, regardless as to what the leader and other members has come on platforms and say, right? We believe the actions over the bag talk, right? And that is what is hurting them. And as such, because that pressure is now hitting them and they can't control the narrative, they're trying very hard to, extremely hard.
Yes.
Right? Because if you look at the written pieces, even when media houses are trying to help them neighbor, they can't come out Sure, there are parts where they're trying to take the people of Jamaica for a fool. They put some confusing aspects of it. But the problem again, because they don't control the narrative of it, and people independently are breaking down these pieces one by one. And so other persons who may not have read the pieces, who are not have been fully versed on the issue, are gaining a lot of knowledge about it. It has now forced people to go and read and listen to other things, so that they can understand greatly what this scandal is about. And then that cements again what we all know about the People's National Party. So it doesn't matter how much platform Mark Golding goes on and say a lot of things. This still stands. It stinks. It is staining. And as such, they can't rewrite it as they used to in the days. Right? Now, that is why he's under severe pressure. Now, it may seem he's being placed under that pressure from a political standpoint, because Young Jamaica is not easing up, right? The affiliate arms aren't easing him up this time, which, remember, we've also called for these arms to step up and step in the light to request certain things, and they're finally doing so, and doing so with great effect. Now, you can see where the tone is being set, neighbor. That is specifically with Julian Robinson. He tried to denote and to control the narrative around this when he was asked about the issue, right? And place it as if it is just political mileage being sought, right? Yes. Gaining political points. But that is beyond the issue. They no longer can do that and call it what it is not. People are seeing it deeper than what they want the people to see. And as such, they are running scared. And Mark Golding himself will commit a lot of mistakes again and again as he tries to cover this up. Because look at it now. You benchmark you bench a person, but you're standing by him. Hypocritical. There's a lot of hypocrisy there. There's also a level of self-containment, because you want to keep this person close to you for political gains. And there's nothing he can say otherwise to let me not see that, to let me not believe that. Because themselves, you said it as well, when fire there must fail and think a cool breeze. He's fighting for the self-interest of trying to remain as the leader of the opposition. And what is happening is that within a few months, that leadership battle begins. And now his public aspect in terms of to show up as an opposition leader effectively for Jamaica is also putting him in a damning position. And he can't juggle those two balls at all. He's under severe threat to losing something he has always craved. Right? The self-interest. I believe you put it in the aspect of the Machiavellianism, right? When it comes on to how they've been manipulative and the desire to gain that power. It is a self-interest thing from him. But he's being torn apart or tugged in different positions that he cannot handle. He has never been called upon in his political life to handle situations like this in the public sphere. And as such, when you don't know how to handle it, you see, when you're now the aggressor and never been on the back foot, I know that Jamaica has placed you on the back foot and come out swinging, because now you have to produce the answers, not as to just what has happened with JACDEN, but he will have to now justify his position as to why he's defending this person who has taken from, technically, the coffers of the very people they should be governing. So again, now, you want to take an action as the opposition leader to say you've put this person on the backbench and investigation doing, but then your mouth go slip and you say you're standing by him. That wasn't what you were calling for. That's not the ticket your political career of opposition leader and leader of the People's National Party came upon. You ran on the ticket of accountability and integrity. Now you've placed yourself in a fragile state when it comes down to how you have behaved. Nothing you have run on, nothing you've said you're standing on matches up with the actions that came after. None at all. And as such, he's piling on the pressure on himself because he doesn't know what to do. If it was probably business, he would have been fine because he knows that very well. But in the political arena where things are being asked of you and you can't run, you no longer can hide because you're the opposition leader. You can't do like Mama P and say, ask the PNP, right? You have to stand and act, and every action taken pegs him back even further into a corner because it is not one in which you can lie and add another lie and another lie to cover it up. Everything is being seen like a see-through glass, neighbor, and he can't handle that pressure because all the guardrails have been broken and he has to face the music and he doesn't know how to. And that also speaks to the character as a leader. We've asked as well, what type of leader is Mark Golding? He's showing us each and every scandal. He's showing us each and every opportunity that he fails to do the right thing by the people of Jamaica. He's not failing by the party, you know. He's failing the people of Jamaica, and he's missing that. Because I can tell you, neighbor, I won't be surprised if 401,913 people does not vote for them in 2029, 2030 when election calls. I expect that to be a lower number. And as such, in that aspect, they're going to keep on ruining the party, which it's really dirt poor right now. It's at rock bottom. But himself as a leader, which he so desires to keep, to maintain, is falling to pieces as well. And he doesn't know how to bring it back together. Not even super glue, Patex and epoxy can't help him. Because they've dug themselves in these holes, and the guardrails of the times have always protected them. Now all those are being ripped apart, and a system that is attempting to be rebuilt is showing them that they should not exist in this framework, and they don't know how to change. No matter how much time we ask them to change, no matter how much grace the people of Jamaica has given them, right? They are just the leopard that doesn't know how to change their spots. And until...
Okay. I only have 18 minutes, Harry. Tell me now, how do you think this story is going to develop? Traditional media tomorrow opens up. I'm sure that they'll have something to say. Obviously, it's going to remain on the headlines for at least another couple of days. What is the next angle that you think the story is going to take? What's going to happen tomorrow going into the week after the holidays?
Well, for the main media, those who can't afford not to bring the story, right? They will still put on a little spin to it. They will actually look to give the People's National Party some level of airtime to speak of humanitarian aspect, and they've been doing that for a while, because I've read about 2 to 3 pieces that speaks to what JACDEN has been doing in the sector.
But what the dickens that have to do with this matter, sir?
And that is the story, because real journalists are going to take that apart.
What is dickens that have to do with this matter here now?
Neighbor, It has gotten even worse, because I've read a piece where Mr. Gard is speaking about his 96-year-old mother and about she's stressing out. The people of Jamaica don't care about what your mother thinks.
It is the government of Jamaica's responsibility when people go to hospitals for them to get those services. Exactly. It's not JACDEN, sir.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter. In fact, there's no private organization that is being run to not make profits. There's none. Anybody who go in a business don't go in it for philanthropy and humanitarian needs. None. Every entrepreneur will tell you they are there for profits. That's what a businessman does. And that is the aspect of a private company. It's not there to do anything else. So coming with this humanitarian spin does not absolve the fact that your hand is in the cookie jar. it doesn't matter how much people are helping. You broke the law as to what is there. You found a way to maneuver and manipulate a system that should serve the people. And as such, for me, the media should kill that part of the story. But they're going to try to paint, because I've seen people written pieces, neighbor, on social media, and of course Jamaicans just rip it apart. I've seen it in comment sections and so on, right? They want to paint it out as a good thing in that aspect. It is not. You've broken the rules, and that is what it is. Now, as the story develops, neighbor, we will see where the People's National Party may not say much afterwards, because Mark Golding has said a lot of nothing, and they think it means something in the space because they give a response rather than an answer, because they can respond to something.
Harry, I mean, maybe me and you should come together and go broke a bank and give the money to the poor people. That would be okay. Because we're talking about good outcomes, justifying questionable pathway. If a thing is wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't matter if you go into KFC and thief chicken, go feed the poor, sir. Go feed the hungry.
Exactly.
You couldn't get away with that.
It doesn't absolve what you've done, right? This is not a quote-unquote Robin Hood kind of situation. It is not. And even when they catch
morality is not measured by outcomes.
Exactly. And it is placed in terms of the questionable aspect. And one of the things in a neighbor, I can tell you this, while the opposition is going to be under pressure and they're going to be standoffish and be in the reserve aspect, the government is going to be placed under pressure, because people are not going to ask them, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to ensure that this doesn't happen again under your watch? Because the biggest question is going to be is, how did you have this scandal happen under your tutelage, under the leadership of Andrew Holness? And while it may seem as a fair question, right, on the surface, the truth about it is that it has to be one in which the fact that we've seen it highlighted, because this is a spin you'll never see in a neighbor. The government don't get this luxury. The spin is going to be one in which, if you look at it, the fact that we can unearth these scandals or this corruption in a framework that is being changed, nobody will praise that, They're going to look at the fact that it happened while you were running the country. How could you let that happen? They don't want to see it to say, you found this loophole, you found this problem, and you're going to see it out to ensure that the right actions are taken. Nobody ever takes that, and the media never ever give the government that opportunity either. But they have to carve that out, right? And of course, it will want to seem like a 9-day talk, but I think the governmental ministers may have to look into it deeper. I know some people probably, I don't know if in Senate, they can start to look at it when it comes on to any bill to become a law governing these things, specifically on the hospital side, because they need a heavy protection in terms of people to look over them, to oversee the day-to-day operations, basically, because clearly we can't trust the board that was there, right? We couldn't trust the individuals that were there because they were coerced into this as well. So I do expect it to take that type of turn. I know the thing about it is that you will not have a balanced conversation, because the People's National Party and their surrogates will not have a conversation about it, and definitely not a fair one for those who may be brave enough to come and utter words. You realize earlier the gentleman that came up, he doesn't know Gordon, which is a lie, right? I don't know him, but it's a blatant lie. Right? Because this story can't be in the media and you don't go and find out who that is. Never. It is one in which you're trying to take people for a fool, and we're not fools. So I do expect it to come off in that aspect, neighbor. But we'll be here. We will ensure that it's not a 9-day talk. I see somebody earlier in the comment section say it's going to be the Judas story where everybody are going to always hear over, because we're not letting it down until we see the right action taken against this institution and the institutions involved.
Fantastic.